Thank you, Riv. Not to be outdone by our first series of the day. Both of these teams just coming out hard in the beginning, slapping each other around. I mean, this was a bloodbath of a game.
It was reminiscent to game one where both these teams faced off. In the beginning, it was kind of even. You know, we could see how AHQ could make a comeback, and then eventually EDG just burst through the gates and rolls them over.
Yeah, I think a lot of this game came down to pick ban phase once again as well, and I really have to question the TF pick here. It was picked into a Cassiopeia, and as soon as you have cleanse on the Cassio, you just win the matchup. You absorb the first yellow card as it is, flash forward, get the stun down. Pawn even mucked up the level 6 quite substantially. He missed the Q-Eat and then just ulted for fun and wandered away, but he just still had way too much pressure in the lane.
Crumbs, I want to get into the Cassiopeia itemization real quick. I know you had something to say about that.
Yeah, so she went with the tier first, then finished the Abyssal Scepter, then a Death Cap, then completed the Seraph, and then got boots, which to me is more of the realistic build. Obviously, you know, snakes don't have feet, have heads that can wear hats, Rabadon's Death Cap. Obvious.
Thematically correct.
But the build makes sense because they don't want to dive. They want to get dove into against a Sivir, a Sejuani, a Maokai. They just want to defend themselves. So lots of dive. He has up and front burst damage.
You need to tell that to Koro, man, because there was one member that definitely wanted to dive in this game, and he was going hard in the paint. Every single time he could get anywhere near the AD carry, he was going for it.
Yeah, and you were talking about picks and bans. Nautilus jungle. Man, I personally love Nautilus jungle. I talked about it a few weeks back, like way when it was just like Cinderhulk was coming out. I think this is a great jungler to fall back on. It provides so much zone control, so much CC. It has 4 types of CC. You can hit everybody on a team with it if you just change targets. You're constantly AoEing. And if Deft is one of your main carries, you get to protect him. Also, his early game, people think it's very weak. His E is extremely strong, and his passive adds extra damage to his attack. You see it on the invade when they go for the level 1, that you're not expecting that type of damage from a Nautilus, and he's able to just make up for the deficit, whereas it's hard for a Nautilus to escape. He's got movement speed quints. He's able to chase after people if they do escape from him and get his passive off. So I think the Nautilus pick is really good when you're protecting those backliners.
And especially if you plan for it, because everyone says, why would you pick it over anything else? Well, they banned everything else, so then he has to pick it.
It's a good fallback.
If that is what you have as a fallback, I completely agree with you. That was next level getting in there. Didn't even go for the Nunu, went for something new.
I have to say, I really do like to see the Rek'Sai and the Gragas banned out, simply because we get to see where junglers are going to go in this tournament if those are not available to them. Rek'Sai has dominated so far this tournament, and now we see Nautilus being the 4th pickup for these junglers.
I think the story of the game came down to the level 1. So AHQ started off by smiting the Gromp and giving all of the XP to the bottom lane. Now that would have been a great strategy had there been a regular lane. Oh.
AHQ on screen right now as you're talking about them. They're working out their strategy, see if they can come back in this next game. I'll let you continue on with your point, though, about that level 1. Exactly.
Yeah, so they went for a level 1 that gave a lot of quick experience to the bottom lane so that they don't miss a beat of any experience, so they would have had a huge lead. EDG, though, accurately reads AHQ thinking, okay, they really camped the bottom lane, go for the lane swap, and then has the better jungle path to invade the red buff. Thresh just sits there. Level 1 waits for the jungler and top lane to just invade, gets a free kill, and then eventually AHQ gets a little bit greedy, goes top, and dies hard.
And even more impressive is how they set up the turret dive off that, because it looked like it was going to be a 4v3 kind of up there, but what Koro did is he actually pushed them off the turret and made it a 3v1 turret dive. It was just so smart.
I do want to jump into our replay 26 minutes into the game. 4 for 2 for EDG around the Baron spawn. We're going to give this one to you, so we're going to pull that up on your screens right now, and you can take it away.
Yeah, and one of EDG's strongest points in their game is their Baron control, and they started off any small advantage. The advantage you got here, you think it's 5v5, everyone knows what's going on. There is no advantage. Mountain doesn't have his ultimate, so if we roll this one out, you'll see that he can't throw it. I'm like, where's Mountain's ultimate? Oh, it's still on cooldown. They chunk it out with Kalista, the double smites, no hopes for a steal. Unfortunately, AHQ overcommit into the pit. I think if they had left one more member outside to deal with Deft, all this damage wouldn't have come through and it would have gone a little bit better.
And EDG, they love to force these fights. They love to go to objectives. And when they have double smite Kalista, you're not going to steal it away from them. It's so hard to do so. And then they clean up after they pick it up for themselves, and then they just start snowballing from there. And that's how they create these advantages. You talked about EDG. When they have a little bit of an advantage, they want to snowball it more. They want to get as much as they can. And when they want to fight you, they don't wait for it. They don't wait for the hard engage. They force something that you have to fight them on. And I love that play style. We're going to be seeing more of that this series.
Now we saw their thirst for the Baron, though, almost bite them there in the end as they go for it with just the 2 members. So hopefully they can stay away from some of those tendencies. We'll see if Edward Gaming can keep the momentum on their side in Game 2 versus AHQ. You're watching the 2015 Midseason Invitational.
If he can handle himself in the mid lane, AHQ has a chance to win.
Their bot lane, in the bot lane.
This is pretty
gonna be tough. Goro under the turret. That's not where he wanted to be. Westor is able to pick up a kill now. Glacial Prison locks up 3. Mountains coming up big in this fight. Albus has eyes on Pawn. So does Westor, but they turn it. Ziv is under depth, and he's not going to be able to do much, but he throws Mako to Westor. That can finalize him. They both go down, and the onslaught of shadows comes through.
Oh.
Oh. Oh.